drink the Kool-Aid. You need to buy in to what they're selling, you know, above and beyond your own ethical or moral compass. For me, that was never an option. You know, like I remember one time being asked specifically to do something that was a blatant go break the law because we had just taken the training on it. And I remember my manager telling me, well, the CFO says to do this. I'm like, well, he could send me a document saying that he says to do it. I said, but understand this, and I'm being very clear here. If anybody asks me about after he sends this document, what happened, I'm sending them directly to him because I'm not doing jail over something that I was trained on because he says so, because he has a title. That just seems dumb to me. You know, so I feel like there's plenty of problems that can be solved now. And I'm going to use the same example that I love using all the time. And there's nobody on either side of the aisle, color, socioeconomic status, that I think has a real problem with going all in on not doing horrible things to veterans or elderly people. It's not this place we can't get the common ground. So just like you can't beat up bus drivers, apply the same concept. Go further. Patriot Act, same thing. People will just not do it. And it's not about punishing them. It's about making it something you don't want to ever do. That's it.
There's also the feeling sometimes it's a sense of people are trying to gatekeep also.
Oh,
yeah.
You know, and that becomes an issue of, you know, the community and open source that we're trying to.
Well, I have a specific one for you, Daddy, like to on that same thread. Have you found, not being someone who's always native to technology, have you found that now that you're doing more of it, have you found like specific instances of that, like that gatekeeping, and even how you're getting responses and things?
Yeah, because I wonder, am I getting the whole story? Or am I just getting pieces of it? Things that, like, if I look up, or if I'm wanting to buy something, or look at something, or it doesn't matter what it is, I'm looking at it, and then I wonder, okay, that seems like it's surface level, and I know there's more inside of there, but where do I go find it? Or what do I ask for it? But the gatekeeping seems like it's a monetary thing. I don't want to say that people are gatekeeping knowledge because they want to make them sound like they're smarter than somebody else. But the gatekeeping is, new products come up, or a new, easier way, and that's where people who are creating these things know that it's a limited time that they're going to be able to, manipulate the best outcomes that they can. So they'll gatekeep whatever the product is, or the knowledge, or whatever, because they know that it's time sensitive. So
there's a lot of weird things about companies in the world. Like, Dad, you had said one time about how you think Apple probably has their next 3 phones already planned. What they're going to do.
Or 13.
I think it's smart company.
It's an interesting idea. And that's something that we don't really know, but we might know in the future. And it's those kinds of concepts, like maybe another one where, the government is trying to do these things where they're going to help people, but turns out they just hurt the rural folks, and then they just accidentally helped the big business. And it's like, being a human, there's so many factors that go into society, that go into business, that go into government. It's not a simple thing of, you just need to ask this one question. You just need to go up to Trump and ask this one question. It just doesn't work that way. And so it's more about trying to formulate the right mindset, and I say trying to figure out what those questions are that you need to ask. That's something that Nigel, I think, has tried to emphasize that is so, so true.
Well, we have 2 more minutes on this. Then we're going to take a quick commercial break and come back and talk about the news of the day. I want to recognize something that you said, Nigel, and bring it into the news and media world. There's a ton of pressure for employees to toe the line. And obviously, everyone feels it in their own way. You talked about the unethical pressure that you felt to do things that were just absolutely breaking the law. And I think when it comes to news and media, I can't fathom the amount of pressure that journalists feel. and their bosses. When you have the majority of advertising is drug companies. Well, nobody's buying drugs from watching an ad about a drug company on TV or on radio. But because the drug companies are paying for the advertising, they don't have any bad stories about their companies. Everything gets buried. So this is just one example of a problem that's happening right now in news and media. Is today, drug companies are the main advertiser. They never sell drugs. They advertise because it's their way of controlling the media and keeping the journalists from actually ever exposing what's going on. And this is the worst example within the news media sector, but this goes across everything, right? Like if the boss has a certain faith or ethnicity, then you're never going to talk about anything regarding that faith or ethnicity in a bad way, no matter what happens, right? The boss is a Catholic and the Catholic Church is in trouble. Doesn't matter. We're not talking about it. So there's a lot of pressure for journalists, and this has been an ongoing issue. Maybe when we get into our next segment, we can talk a bit more about solutions to this problem. Nice, Teddy. Nice. We'll be back again in just a moment.
The future of Web3 and AI is unfolding before us. Communities, education, business, government, media, and art are undergoing a metamorphosis that will redefine our world. Now is the time. Make the leap.
Collaborating and sharing ideas and thoughts with each other throughout the day.
Technology advances like 100 miles a minute. I'm super excited to learn from everyone here today.
We don't want to be the target, and we don't want to be the product. We want to be the owner of our digital information. We want to be the owner of our digital lives, because our lives are no longer just physical, they are digital and physical. Change the narrative on how we've been teaching for all these years and look back on how we used to teach and, challenge our students with, hey, coming with the right knowledge to you. AI has democratized, basically, at this point, knowledge, like we said earlier. It's giving you the ability to know what I know, giving you the ability to even question what I know.
All of us have had to learn cryptography. We've had to learn how to download an OKX wallet. We've had to learn how to buy and sell crypto, learn how to buy and sell NFTs. We've had to learn the process of what a smart contract does.
Wow, we did it. Web3 AI, wasn't that quick? It came and so fast, right? But didn't you feel like you belonged? If you're here with us, you should feel like your voice matters. Like you're amongst people that want to hear what you have to say. They want to hear your questions. They want to hear your thoughts and your insights. We got to hear from way over 100 people today, right? We didn't have a stage with speakers and panelists. Instead, we had a Congress-style conversation.
Welcome back to Beachside Tech Talk. My name is Ian Utile. I'm here with my co-host. There's 5 of us all together, unless the rapture happened. I'm looking at a video of Ted. He's missing. So he is the holiest of us 5. He's back. Nope. The Lord's still coming later.
Sorry, I missed it.
I could tell. And welcome. Hello, radio. We know that you're listening, not watching. Every once in a while I make a joke about what I see. Sorry about that. I want to be sensitive to you. Today, we're talking about Web3 and AI's impact on news and media. Just to clarify, Web3, that's kind of a catch-all term for crypto, blockchain, metaverse, NFTs, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever you heard in that arena.
All of it.
We call it Web3. And AI is whatever you are used when it comes to Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant, Samsung Bixby, anything you've used with ChatGPT or Midjourney or any of these crazy AI tools. That's kind of our catch-all term for machine learning and large language models and neural networks, etc.
So we were just talking on the break. You were mentioning that Google has a fantastic new tool that's out called Nano Banana.
And
First thing I thought was, okay, except for maybe some of the older timers, maybe the older generation who just are just very comfortable with what's going to happen with Alexa and Siri now? Are they going to phase out, or you think Google will bring in something that's or update their Google is Google Siri?
No, Apple is Siri.
Apple is Siri.
Google has Assistant.
What is Alexa is
Alexa's their own thing. So, and I know the founders of Alexa. I know that team. I know the founders of the Siri Bixby team, same team. Well, there's 3 guys that founded Siri that Jobs acquired, and then 2 of those 3 founded Bixby.
I was just thinking that they've been around for a couple decades now. 15 years? I would say 15 years.
The first Alexa product was 2014.
Okay.
And Siri was around then. It's about 10 years. But the guys that built Siri they'd been working on voice as an interface for at least 2 decades. So there's been like a real Dragon. Like Dragon was early on.
Right. That was like a Rosetta Stone.
You could install a Dragon software in your computer. It's called Dragon.
Right.
And then basically you could talk to it and it would talk to you. And it was more or less built initially for people like with, they couldn't type or they couldn't type well.
Right.
Yeah.
Will those platforms like a Siri or Lexus or a Assistant just phase out because they were kind of outdated, or they haven't moved along?
There'll be better versions.
Siri partnered with OpenAI's ChatGPT, so now you can have a full ChatGPT integration into Siri.
That's the idea. That's the idea.
Definitely not a great execution, but that's the base. That's the basic idea. And then I'm actually most optimistic about Alexa. And here's the reason why. Amazon is the #1 cloud service provider in the world. Nobody is doing more business than AWS. Amazon's the #1 retailer in America and beyond. It's incredible what they've built, their system. Amazon has become one of the top media creators and distributors of music, of podcasts, of movies, of TV.
Yeah.
And no one put more hardware devices in homes than Amazon. I believe they sold over 100 million.
Like their Echo device. That's and their
it's crazy.
The Nest. That's they have a Nest and yeah. The home devices that are so prevalent now.
Now, let's take mom and dad as an example. I've installed about a dozen Alexa devices in their house. Now, they only use 1 or 2 of them today infrequently to play music. But as soon as Alexa rolls out their new experience, and as long as it's comparable to a ChatGPT or an X,
yeah,
those things are going to get plugged back in and turned back on.
That's
There's
what
going
I
to
was
be a
saying.
lot of people that go and grab those dusty devices out of the closet,
right?
Plug those things on, because as soon as you can say to I'll say Lexi for anybody that has one of those devices in their house. I'm sorry if I just fired it off on you. As soon as you can say to Lexi, good morning, and the AI is smart enough to where it automatically ties into your coffee maker, your shower, your blinds, your news updates. It messages the people that'll be waiting for you. And as soon as this thing does like 5 or 10 tasks for you every morning, and you say goodnight, and it does 3 to 7 tasks for you,
right?
And you get into this rhythm where it's like, hey, the speaker's right there. I just got to say Lexi and say my greeting, good morning, good night, and all these things pop off. As soon as you say to Lexi, like, hey, I'm going into this meeting in 2 hours and tell me about this. And it knows, and it just starts to go through a list and becomes wildly helpful. And no longer do you have to grab your phone, talk to your phone, type things with your thumbs. You just have a voice interface. I am absolutely confident that the world is going to go audio first, voice interface first, and anything else having to do with thumbs and eyeballs is going to be a far distant, way the heck back there second. Video is too demanding for creators, too demanding for the audience, and typing with your thumbs is such an unhuman thing to do. It is so weird that we went from 10 fingers on a keyboard to 2 thumbs on a tiny little piece of glass, and that we think that's the future. That is not the future. That is a bridge from where we've been to where we're going, and the thing that will win the day will be audio interfaces, audio content creation, audio content consumption. This is why radio will have a massive reemergence. And when it comes to news and media, we are going to find that people are absolutely going to lean into audio-based news and media.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about Web3's impact on it, like what's the news of the day. And one thing I want to talk about on this front is there's a huge concern around deep fakes.
That's a huge talk right now.
Huge concern.
I think it's going to be that way because it's going to move so fast. Like we've been talking about,
It's just gotten so good.
Art and entertainment, things like that. These high dollar advertisements, I think that's where we'll see it first, because it's going to be the easiest, and it's a no harm, no foul play. In other words, it's not going to hurt anyone's mental health. It's not going to affect society in a very harmful way by rolling out advertisement that we either look, listen to, or engage with one way or another. And it's going to change the way marketing is done. It's going to change the way advertisement is rolled out, because people who have the best developers and the best teams put together to make these AIs work without having, again, we're taking the AI, using the AI and taking the human element out of it. So if you're just, say, a commercial, for instance, you generate this AI new supermodel, male or female, and they have the voice that sounds like something you're used to. It's very similar, a lot of similarities. So you're
just taking old data,
right? You're used to, and then you feel comfortable. And not only that, they have taken away that human element of all of the logistics of doing a marketing campaign, and they've even made it better. So I see us moving in the entertainment, news, and the media world. Just next couple of years, we're already can't figure out, is that AI or is it not? They're already doing. I've seen Stallone be superimposed, or and I don't know if he must have given it the okay, but I think Beckham. The Cristiano Ronaldo's ones, super, super high.
Whoa, that's different. Whoa, what is?
Nigel, can you hear me? I don't think
I
you
can. I can hear you.
Well, I think we should have a conversation, at least for our online viewers. So,
Well, we can. Ian said the Chrome shut down for some reason, so I guess we could continue talking about it. But I had a
maybe
specific.
Nano Banana shut it down. You know, it's interesting because when I heard about Nano Banana, I looked off screen and I looked on my little, my AI supercomputer,
Right.
and there was 2 definitions, and I actually Googled it. So this is Google's AI. And it said, hey, that might either refer to a name for the new upgrade of Gemini, or it might refer to small bananas. So, there's ladyfinger bananas. I haven't had them very often, but the ones I had were pretty tasty. Just nice little bananas. They taste like bananas.
Well, I think
So,
you get
they're
the catchy
nano bananas.
names. You get the catchy names, and you don't necessarily know what all the stuff is about. So that's kind of weird. That's kind of that's kind of it. But we were talking about that Amazon Alexa, that battle. I think their infrastructure is just poised to make a splash. It's just a matter of the implementation, but the infrastructure being there, I think, is a huge advantage.
Yeah, Amazon is a beast, and they are huge, and they're everywhere, and it's all mixed feelings. I love Amazon, and we order almost most of our stuff there, and I love being able to go on and
it's not a joke. It's not again, the word game, it sounds like it's something novelty or something.
It's fair to say esport because you have to be so talented.
100%. And they're not only they're not just gaming, they also are understanding the development and then how to change the things. They understand
so much strategy with all this
right
stuff.
Exactly. So it's funny that I just think it's funny that we're following a sort of a gaming community into that Web3 space.
Yeah. And then all like the gamification things, like just today when I was doing my schoolwork, I realized that it got gamified for me in my mind. And I was like, wait, this is awesome. I love right now that I feel like I really want to get this task accomplished because then I finish the thing. And that's such a nice thing to get to have because then it makes it so much more motivating.
Yeah.
And just integrating gamification as a concept into broadly whatever it is that we're doing, it makes it so that people are so much more motivated to actually get into that.
Right. And then like Nigel was mentioning even yesterday about like badging and stuff. I think that's where, this through our news and our media and the things that are propagated so much, we're going to be able to understand and use these tools to not only create a culture through not just, it seems discriminatory that, you have to have a degree. And then they put the name of a master's on it, and then they give you, there's a PhD where you have a doctorate in something. It makes it feel like it's almost out of reach.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of unfair that it costs so much money for those kinds
of
things.
Yeah, for sure. But like Nigel had said yesterday, a badging system is a very rudimentary, and it's not necessarily showing that, what you know, but maybe through a communal integration, you are able to show how you know it or actually to perform a process, because I think that's what it's all about, is not just, who or how or what you know, but how did you get there? And then sharing that.
Yeah.
We always emphasize the each one teach one, or, become the mentor after you've learned something if possible. And again, how would you like to be treated?
I mean, that whole idea Nigel has said of where all the things that you've learned just get thrown onto this like NFT transcript. And now you just send that over to wherever you want to go work at, whatever your job you're applying for, or if it's something else more niche. And then all of a sudden, you don't have to go through all these weird things that we have now. You just skip the whole process. Bam. Yep. There it is. Yeah. I did get a misdemeanor because I was brushing my teeth while I was driving. I don't even know. Like everything is on there, but that also, that's a very weird example, but it also means that all the things that you learned.
Decided brushing your teeth while driving.
Thank you, Elon.
Yeah.
Nigel, jump in. We want to hear from you.
I want to hear Nigel's voice.
Where Nigel, weren't we talking about somewhere in the United States they're doing they're trying to do another taxi service? Was that you and I talking about that the other day?
Yeah, Waymo or something?
Yeah,
Waymo?
yeah.
as the Jaguars in San Francisco.
Yeah. That's so. I can't wait till they have turning seats. You know, if these cars are doing this automation driving, there's no point in having the seats being positioned, you know, facing forward if we're not engaging with the motor vehicle itself anymore. It's time to have, you know, the seats be able to either swing around or even do 180 degrees. So front seats can turn into towards the back. You can actually have a little console that pops up and you guys be sharing meetings.
That completely gets rid of like the whole way cars are made. I mean, you don't really need a windshield at that point. You don't need to have
That'd be trippy.
a steering wheel.
In a car, you can't see where you're going. It's all the
So then at that point, it's like you just have seats behind you, and then you have the people sitting in front of you.
What are the criminals going to do when there's no more getaway car? You know, there's no,
I wonder how much crime involves a getaway car. It can't be that high. 0.01%.
Well,
no, it's got to be more
dude,
than
what
that.
are you talking about? Chappie is going to be the getaway driver.
You remember Chappie? Oh, good old Chappie. Take me home, Chappie.
They make great movies, though. Getaway cars, man, that is definitely like the top.
Running over, get in the car, get in the car.
What are they going to do?
Very few things are as adrenaline pumping with a bad guy as jumping in a getaway car, trying to get away from the car.
Okay, so hold on. Here's a hot take or something to think about. Are getaway drivers actually going to be replaced by AI?
They can't.
What a trippy idea.
They can't. Do you remember that there's who was it? Was it Turin or who's the guy who he was in the late 60s who was explaining AI as a first impression and the rule was AI can, and the rule is still now, AI can never create or do anything that would harm a human being.
Yeah.
That's its first and foremost. So if that's a premise in anything that's rules being, you know, generated, like we're talking about in automated driving or an automated system like that, the laws are going to be in place. So this car will, first of all, not be able to do anything civilly illegal. That's first and foremost, like, you know, hurting people. And then second of all, it's not going to be able to do anything that's illegal from the traffic laws. That'll be, you know, first at its base level and its programming for this driving car. So, but like you're saying, ergo, there would not be a getaway car ever available.
Because I don't think the AI will let itself. No. But maybe people are going to just reprogram AI.
Go ahead, Ted.
I think your premise is wrong. At least according to Google AI, it's no precise percentage of crimes involving a getaway car exists because that data is not consistently tracked by law enforcement agency.
No, because they got away. They got away, man.
Reporting.
There's no data on the guy who got away. Sorry to tell you.
Not go back and be like, oh shoot, I gotta go write it down.
He got away, man. You don't even know that guy existed.
For sure.
It doesn't count if they get away, Ted.
AI thinks getaway cars are common. So
hence, there is no badge for getaway drivers.
The getaway car industry is going to be.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
Okay.
AI.
So here's where I want to transition to. A mentor of mine, Brian Romale. He's gotten more recognition lately as one of the top voices on X. He was one of the fathers of the voice tech movement, you know, the AI movement. He was one of the first people to ever get involved in Bitcoin. He created one of the faucets where he gave away a couple Bitcoin to anybody that gave him his email back in like 2012 or something silly like that. Dude. He's definitely been one of the most important mentors for me. And he's funny because he's hard to get a hold of. It when I get a hold of him, like we'll be on the phone for 4 hours. Like it's like he just, you know, he's got so many things to share with me. Now, the reason I bring him up and tell you a bit of his backstory, you know, he's been consulting VC firms for decades. A lot of people, Musk, Jordan Peterson, many famous people look at him as like the authority in the field of advanced tech automation. He is really concerned that AI is being trained on things like movies and TV shows. Movies and TV shows don't show the reality. And he's also equally concerned that AI is being trained on social media. Social media is a human's way of showing the world 0.1% of their life that they want people to see. Right. And everything they type, everything they take a photo of, everything they take a video of.
Super bias.
So what his concern is, he keeps saying this is going to create a bunch of AI large language models and outputs that are not going to reflect true humanity. So his answer for it is he has been going crazy, going and picking up VHS tapes from all over every thrift shop he can go to. So he has now collected something like 10,000 home videos, and he'll pop the VHS tape in, he'll digitize it, and he's only feeding old VHS tapes from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s into his large language model, because he said that's how people actually live. It's the mom at the lake. It's the auntie at the bar mitzvah. That is how people really live. So he's grabbing these quote unquote boring tapes and he's basically pumping them in, and he feels like this is the way to reverse the tide toward things like a false premise that AI has about humanity, that we all want to shoot each other, kill each other, fight, that like all these crazy things that you see in TV and movies, or that everyone's beautiful and everyone's polished and everyone's got their stuff together that you see in social. It's like, no, that's not actually how humanity is. Look at these tapes from 20, 30, 40 years ago that I got at the thrift store. That's how humanity is.
Right.
And that's been pretty compelling. And his AI outputs way different stuff than anybody else's. Yet he still
What's
works.
it called? Or is it a public thing? How does this
It's
all
not
work?
public yet. And he's doing everything on private servers. So none of his stuff is going to be on the cloud for the most part. He does really appreciate Grok and ChatGPT, works with those teams. He sees some value, but he has recorded every word he said for over a decade on a small little Pi. And basically he's had every word he said privately transcribed on his own private server so that his AI at his house, without a tech connection to the cloud, basically knows everything about him.
How can someone easily do something like that?
You can't easily do anything.
Sorry,
like that.
I mean
you
the
could
best
follow,
way.
You could follow Brian's journey and participate in what he's doing, and he will make it easy for his community to do so. We'll be right back after this commercial break. We'll be diving into AI's impact on news and media and talk about the news of the day. And until then, enjoy a word from our sponsors. Thanks for joining us. Hello, Internet. Nigel, try to talk.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Okay. So that's interesting, bro. Internet, we fly the plane while we build it. So this is behind the scenes. You're welcome. We're having a private conversation in front of all of you. So you know what's interesting, Rachel? You know what's interesting is the last couple days you were fine on the radio, and I could not hear you on StreamYard. Then today, we couldn't get the radio audio to work until 5-10 minutes in, which is why we started the live stream late, for anybody that was wondering why we didn't go live on time. And now your audio works on StreamYard all of a sudden. So there must have been something funky with the audio deal. Do you know what happened?
I don't know, but I think it feels like a cache situation. Like whatever was stuck and was going on in there got reset when we reset everything, because I rebooted, got out of everything, and then it just reset.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I'm glad. This is gonna sound however. I'm glad this happened.
Yeah.
I feel that the better we're able to convey that just because things look a certain way, that it's not easy.
Right.
I'm very concerned about that, because people do some amazing things and they don't even want to talk about it because I don't care about that. Keep the labor, give me the baby kind of mentality. But I don't know that's always the best thing. I feel like when you see some of the not so perfect moments, and I'm not just talking about the bloopers or the outtakes or whatever the case may be, just really recognize, to your point about, building your own AI and seeing what it really looks like. I think there's real value in that, because then you can see, okay, well, it's not always perfect. And then maybe it gives people opportunity. One, it gives them hope, and it gives them people that they're seeing doing things that might be valuable resources for them to reach out to understand, what that is. Because the simple go look it up, Results may vary. It gets old fast, once people start actually trying things, because now they're mad, or at least I was.
Well, Nigel and Ted, I'll give you guys a break. I'm going to play a video. I was at an event with the saxophone player of Pink Floyd, and he had this.
Well, I was there too. In fact, I think I was holding the phone, recording it.
And
I think it was your phone.
And I did this talk called "What Type of Futurist Are You?" And as we get ready for our second hour, I think some folks might enjoy this. It's not the perfect audio, so excuse the beginning as it's a little bit of a slow start, but I think it'll be enjoyable. Guys, we'll be back in 7 minutes. Wow. I was at the 25 anniversary in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember thinking, as I was young then, I remember thinking, this is art. Like, this is inspiration. And for 50 years, you and your friends have been inspiring generations. And you still are innovating today.
Love it.
Can we just once again thank Scott? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Let me just say one thing.
I can't tell you how thankful I am for this community. It's unbelievable. The Web3 community, the best part about it is we can collaborate, we work together. I feel 30 years younger hanging out in this crowd, and I'm really thankful to be part of this. So, go Web3! Yes,
All right. Okay. We're at the end. Well, my board, I'm going to give it one more try. We're at the end. I want to leave you with one thought for today. And I want to leave you with the thought of what type of futurist are you? Now, we'll see if this thing will work for me. It will. We'll see.
Let me get off stage.
I'm not feeling it. So no one wheel for now. What type of futurist are you? That's the question I have for you. Are you an artist that creates the future by casting a vision? Or are you a scientist that predicts the future by looking at data? Because humans, one thing that makes us different than all the animals in the world is that we think and communicate about the future. It might be the only thing that's different about us than every other mammal. We think, we talk about, we dwell on, we dream about, we sacrifice for, we invest into, we save for the future, for tomorrow, for 100 years from now. Kings and queens used to build castles that their children and grandchildren would never live in. Why? Because they had a vision for the future. And every single person in a seat right now, and anybody watching this recording, is a human and has a vision for a future. So there are two ways that you can think about the future. You can look at data, and you can say, scientifically, what's likely? And then I will, as a scientist, say, well, here's what the future is going to be like based off of critical thought of what's been and maybe what is. And then there are the artists, those that cast a vision, those that create what is not, those that speak for and say, this could be, and it happens because they say it could be. And so there are the artists and there are the scientists. So what type of futurist are you? Now, regardless if you're a scientist or an artist, you have to make a decision. I had the one wheel because I was going to go back and forth. It was going to be very exciting. You have to make a decision. Are you going to be critical or are you going to be optimistic? Now, it doesn't matter if you're a scientist or an artist. When you think of the future, when you talk about the future, when you dwell on the future, when you save for the future, when you invest into the future, when you sacrifice for the future, are you of the mindset of fear, anxiety, pessimism, and critical thinking? Do you wholeheartedly believe in dystopia? Or have you honed the muscle of your mind and your heart and your soul to believe in an anti-dystopic future? Have you made a decision as a scientist or an artist that the future can be great and that you could be a part of the greatness? Do you have an optimistic view, as Scott and his friends must have had over the decades, that they could keep going,
They can keep creating new sound. What is music? It is sound and the absence of it. That's what music is. It's the mixture of sound and the absence of it. And music is one of the art forms that moves our soul. Doesn't matter what language you speak. Doesn't matter what your age is, or what gender you are, or what ethnicity you are, or what geographic location you're from. Your socioeconomic background doesn't matter, but when it comes to music, it can move your soul. Just sound and the absence of it. If you're an artist or a scientist, do you have vision? Do you have something that is driving you forward that you're optimistic and hopeful about? Because it doesn't matter if you're predicting from data or if you are simply speaking forth what could be. There is so much dystopic media in the world, the Terminators, the Blade Runners, the Black Mirrors, that it is really easy to get into a rut of cynical thinking. And therefore, all of your data, you see the data from a dystopic point of view, and you talk about and you cast vision about how dangerous AI can be and how dangerous blockchain can be. Or are you making the decision? And this is it, I'm done. This is the final thing. I don't have a statement of what you should do. I'm simply asking you a question. And the question to dwell on is, what type of futurist are you? Because it doesn't matter if you're a scientist or an artist. What matters is, are you making a decision to have hope? It's been said that we can go weeks without food, a week without sleep, days without water. You can even go 10 minutes without air. But can a human survive without hope? But are you just redlining? Barely surviving, that hope gas tank is almost empty? Well, then find somebody here tonight that seems hopeful and get around them, right? We have a tendency to become like the people that we spend our time with. So spend your time with some hope-filled, optimistic scientists, with some passionate, visionary, life-giving artists, and may you, yourself, make a massive impact in the world as Scott and his friends at Pink Floyd have done. I will see all of you over the weekend. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Welcome back to Beachside Tech Talk, episode number 49. Here we are. Almost
49.
Almost
you know
50.
where else 49
50.
comes up in California? Our football team.
49ers.
San Francisco 49er.
Hey.
Football
we
season
do
is starting up
do
in
like that
about,
around here.
I think it's from now. So
Football season.
yeah.
Football season
Talking
done
to the
started.
locals.
They already
Yeah.
did. They're
They're
past.
deep. They're
Nah.
deep in their preseason.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
preseason's preseason.
Way.
That's for the people who really care about football.
I think they begin camp in like March or something.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they play so few games, and yet it is a full-time deal, and those guys are always working.
You know what's even crazier is the whole goal is to get to the Super Bowl. But if they're starting, they have a training camp that they like kind of start just for show-ups, in March or April. I think maybe it's April.
Yep.
Something like that, but way early. But the guys who never go to playoffs or Super Bowl, they get an extra almost 2.5 months of vacation.
Yeah.
Or off time. As opposed to the guys get paid more, as you move on. If you are in a playoff game, you get an extra check, you get a bonus check, and all the fame and the notoriety, the brand, you get all the boost. That's the big prop for it.
Mhm.
But the other guys are off during that time and hopefully enjoying themselves and not feeling bad that they aren't in that
Yeah, but
big
when
game.
you do something like a sport like that and it's your entire life,
It's your profession.
You don't want to skip the playoffs. You want to be there. That's the kind of thing you want to be at.
Well, that's
For
the whole
every reason you want to be in the playoffs.
That's the whole
obviously.
goal. But when the day comes and the season's over, and you got a couple of months off that you get to enjoy watching the other guys be at the place that the show that you're not there, it's.
I have some NFL friends, and one of the things that they tell me about the off season is how some guys will gain and lose weight crazy.
I would think
amounts.
it could be depression too.
So
just a depression.
Some guys
phase.
will lose weight because they just like not being diligent in the gym, not really working out anymore, not eating as much food anymore. Maybe they're depressed,
or just thinking, I got this time off. I'm not even going to think about doing anything. Right. I'm going fishing, man.
And then
I'm going to go sit at the beach all day.
2 or 3.5 months later, they're like, oh no, I dropped 28 pounds. Like everything that made me a pro athlete is kind of dependent on that in many ways. And then the other guys, man, there's linemen that'll throw on like 80, 100 pounds in 3 months. They just go
cheeseburger.
But you think about this,
Ian, you missed
if you're 300 pounds working out like crazy,
right?
Every day, and then
you're
stop.
used to eating that much. And
Well, you don't even have to do anything different. Like when you're burning that many calories and just stop, and you were at 300 burning all those calories. The road to 400
is really fast.
Is not hard.
I don't
because
think they
if
do.
you keep eating the same way, but you stop exercise.
I think they're under contract for all that stuff.
They probably are.
Yeah,
They probably are.
part of this thing is you promise
Especially now.
not to let yourself go and be a ding dong. So when we come back and we open up spring training camp, you don't come back, looking like you didn't look,
right?
Not ready to go. What we paid you for.
So on the front of, I want to transition over to news and media, and we'll do it this way. We're talking about kind of the news of the day with AI.
I've got some big news.
Great. You can go ahead. I'll get to my thing in a moment. Go ahead.
So I recently saw that China, they just passed their green energy milestone.
Okay.
5 years early.
Okay.
By
Tell me about it.
2030, they wanted to have 1,200 gigawatts, but just by the end of 2024, they reached 1,400, 6 years early. And it's interesting the way these things can happen sometimes, where sometimes it's like, guys, we're going to go for this. And then it just doesn't really happen.
Did it tell you
sometimes
Did it tell you what their main investment has
it
been?
was wind and solar.
I was just going to say they have dropped a bomb on the planet for their solar.
Yeah.
And we are going to be playing catch up sometime soon.
I know we have to catch up.
Vast space. If anybody fly across our country, if you have lately, have you noticed that where's all the people? Where's all the buildings down there?
So empty.
Yeah.
What's going on? So yeah, in the middle of the country or in the middle of China's country and places that are not populated, they have gone off the charts with just layers and layers and layers of solar. And also they hold the patents on a lot of the panels themselves. So they're crushing.
Yeah.
They also have special kind of solar stuff. Like you can see it when you drive from Vegas.
Yeah.
There's a thing that is like a mirror that the sun hits and the mirror turns, and then the mirror takes the sun and then reflects it on the solar panels, and it makes it whatever 2 or 10 times stronger.
Better than
And so
they also have it automated to where it turns as the sun so they get maximum
I mean, that
energy.
kind of stuff is pretty insane and inventive. But it also matters a lot that China was able to do that because they surpassed the amount of fossil fuel energy they get. They get more energy now from solar and wind than they do fossil. And I didn't think that would happen for a long, long time.
Yeah, wind seems like it's in big trouble, at least in America. I think Trump just said something during his cabinet meeting. I saw a clip where he said something like, it's now, unless there's a pre-existing contract, you can't get approval to do wind. He really wants to push toward other forms of energy. I want to bring this back to sports and our topic of news and media. And here it is. AI tools today can take over sportscasting. Sportscasting is one of the most entertaining forms of news and media, right? It's the ability for one or more people to be watching a live game and giving the commentary. It's a big part of what made radio survive through all sorts of moments.
Mhm.
There's lots of moments where TV was
Sportscasting.
crushing radio, where newspapers were having reemergence and magazines are coming out all of a sudden. And it's like, but one thing that kept radio thriving through all the changes was sportscasting. How many people really would prefer to listen to their favorite sportscaster talk about what's happening in the baseball field so they can work on their car, or they can paint, or they can landscape, right? And that's the whole advantage of audio. Now, what I want to talk with you guys about is that today, all of the technology is in place with AI to do a couple things. I'll give you two examples that are already in place right now. One is to create a sportscaster, and the AI is viewing the game in real time, and it has the ability to ingest what's going on and decide what would be most beneficial for the quote unquote AI sportscaster to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And the sportscaster is its own voice, its own personality, and basically it tries to do a better job than anyone ever has. That's already in place. The other thing that's in place is they can take John Madden's voice, who's now deceased.
Whoa.
They can take his tone, his warmth, his comedic approach, the way he interacted with people that are doing sportscasting with him. And now they can have him be a sportscaster for not just American football, but they can have him be a sportscaster in any language.
In any sport.
For any sport.
Whoa.
So now, will people want that? Are there people in Brazil that want to have John Madden's, American approach to sportscasting in, Portuguese on their radio for proper football? Is there people that are interested in hearing John Madden in Europe for the big tennis match in their language? Let's say that you could turn it into John Madden giving the sportscasting on tennis to Finnish, to German, to Spanish. Do people want that? That's in question. The thing that we need to understand is these technologies are now in place. So now AI is in place to create brand new sportscasters to compete against humans, and to take deceased sportscasters that are super famous and were really good at it and basically make them comparable, or maybe some people might say better than they used to be, and any language, and knows all the statistics, and like everything's there in real time. Doesn't have to think. It just all happens, right?
They need to grab some of that while they can too, because like you're saying, a John Madden, and I don't mean this in any negative connotation, but one generation goes by, like the fourth turning type of situation where it's a 20-year or 40-year cycle, and the next generation won't even really, other than for past video or AI generated thing, won't even know who John Madden is. They won't be able to have embraced with him the way that people who are alive remember him as, because he was the coach of their favorite team. And he, was their favorite sports commentator, or whatever the case may be. But I do think, they'll have it for a generation, 20, 40 years. But I'm just thinking, 80 years from now, unless they really turn that into an Elvis or a Muhammad Ali type of legacy, it'll be hard to keep that evergreen kind of thing.
Nigel, what do you have to say about all this?
I think it depends on a couple of things. One is how much consideration is what we're talking about going to be given by the particular audience. Because we could dismiss something based on our demographic out of hand without real consideration. Like, for instance, for you, Malachi specific, I would like to believe or think that you may be more inclined, 5-year-old, it's Danny or myself, than just some random 55-year-old off the street. You might be more interested in things that you're not interested in, or discover that simply because it's people you trust that raised it to your attention and you were focused on it enough. Whereas if you're in a group of your peers and you're just 16-year-olds and you're like, what are you talking to these old dudes about? Yeah, stop that. Like that kind of thing. So I think that's one piece of it. And then I think things that actually resonate have more impact than we think. So it's not about John Madden. It's about the truly great things that he brings to the conversation. Because that is true storytelling. What AI does is telling stories. It's a difference, like someone who can think about this. You're not watching a game, any game, basketball, football, soccer, whatever the case may be. You're dependent into, it's a true skill set It's not something that someone who goes around saying, say less, never talks, only texts is going to be able to do, because they have no practice. It takes someone who understands that skill.
Ted, you were a pro athlete, so you must have an opinion on this whole idea of AI stepping in, taking over sportscasting, hybrid models, supporting sportscasting. I know that, like, for Trent Dilfer, who did a lot of sportscasting after his pro career, he would explain to me that everybody on news, they all had 1, 2, or sometimes they'd have up to 3 people that are by their side. They're just feeding data,
just giving them stats.
You know, so obviously, like, maybe Trent remains a sportscaster, maybe she does or he does, that are well known on ESPN, and maybe their staff goes from 3 people that are feeding data to 1 person that's really great working with AI. So Ted, where do you think things are with sportscasting as a news media medium? Where do you think AI plays into that today? And where do you think the appetite is for pro sports leagues, pro sports players, the newscasters that I'm assuming there's an association of them, and those that listen?
Yeah, I'll have a unique perspective on this. First thing, I'll say something positive. I mean, I love these stats. I love the advanced stats. I love, like, even the you know, when I watch basketball, I primarily watch basketball. And I love, you know, even these stats that are just, I mean, some of them I just laugh at because that's meaningless. You know, it's so specific, but I like that. And I love the ability to augment that even further. But my favorite sportcaster is a friend of mine who I met in San Quentin, Aaron Showtime Taylor. And he learned play-by-play announcement in San Quentin. And that was part of his whole journey of rehabilitation. And, you know, he played ball, but it also sit there. And his hero was Chick Hearns, the, you know, Showtime, Lakers. That's where he got his name from. And, you know, so imagine Chick Hearns and Tupac had a love child. Well, Aaron Showtime Taylor popped out. So, and I was amazed at his talent. And he even got to, you know, through our connection with the Warriors inside San Quentin, he got to call a Warriors game, you know, and meet Steph Curry out of that. But he still had a very hard time breaking through into the industry. So what he's doing, he calls now. He's out now. He's been out for a while. And he's the announcer for there's a pro league in at the beach down in LA. What famous beach is that where they go to? Where all the bodybuilders are. Shoot,
Venice.
I missed it. You know, like where
Venice
what's
Beach.
the name of that beach?
Is it
Venice Beach?
Yeah.
Okay,
Venice.
so the Venice sports leagues, they have a legit pro league and different levels of like pro-am and different levels of like rec. So he's the show. He's the play-by-play announcer there. He also does something really cool, and he's going into a middle school and he's training middle schoolers in play-by-play announcement. So here's a voice. I would like to see more opportunities. And I don't like this idea of gatekeepers and just a few winners that take it all. I don't really like the idea of, I mean, sure, Matt and I didn't connect with him, but I love Chick Hearns. But I don't know if I want Chick Hearns to be resurrected from the dead with AI.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's so popular and he's got so much momentum. We never hear any variety of things. We're not opened up to other things. And now the industry has gotten closed and it's harder and harder for new people to break in. I mean, but having said that, I mean, my future of sports is more and more people involved, you know, and I see the value of sports beyond just entertainment. I love the entertainment part. I love the club system in Europe. I played in Europe. And it's, if you haven't been to Europe, it's hard to understand. I mean, we think we have fervent fans here. We don't understand fanship. Because when you go to Europe, because of the club system, the professional team and the level of loyalty of the followers to that professional team, it's like combining your high school, your college, and your professional team and the team you played for when you were a kid. That's their sense of loyalty to the club. And I think also that provides an opportunity. It's not just for player development, which we see in the Europeans taking over the NBA, even though they may not have an athletic advantage, they understand the sport so much better.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think it's an opportunity for far more people to get engaged and get the benefit of, what we need, getting off our butts and being more physical active and getting the joy of that. So I don't want some dead announcer to own the space and shut the door to everyone else. Having said that, it'd be fun to live.
Humans tend to have that inherent value. Like just today, I tried out Notebook LM for the first time, and oh my gosh, I did not know it was that good. I took a voice memo of what my teacher said. I only had the second half. I wasn't even diligent about it. I just threw into Notebook LM, and then in a little bit of time, it gives me a 15-minute podcast of two people just talking about what it was. And it has the information concise, the way they talk is enjoyable. All the boxes are ticked. And it was so surprising to me to see how good it was. And it just made me think about how this kind of thing is free for me. Completely free. I'm not paying anything. Now, I could do this for every single one. The value is absolutely there. But I don't think I'm going to, because I would so much more rather just send my teacher an email and get their response, even if it's way worse, even if there's so much more bias in it, even if it's just whatever I could say. The humanness, that human interaction is so valuable to people. It's kind of why I don't think teachers need to worry, because people want to talk to a teacher. It's much more inclining to have that human interaction.
Human connection is always going to be there. Even imagine the best video that you could take, that you can imagine, even if it looked like your teacher, there's still something about the teacher being in the room.
Yeah.
You remove it, and it's a different process, but the learning can still be done. I mean, but there's still that Padawan, pupil mentorship kind of thing. Even if there's still a group of 20, still feels good to have the teacher there, and you try to utilize that teacher's brain power while you're there with them, to keep in some secret sauce question you were saving up to when you see him next time, so you don't have to drop him an email.
That makes me really curious about how, because AI is not to the point yet where you can just tell it you tell it, hey, I want to learn about quantum physics, and then it just pulls up like a Zoom meeting, and then you're just talking to it. It maybe could, but it's just not there yet. But once it gets to that point, I am curious if people are kind of going to be able to fall for it. If it's going to have that ability to be so good that it feels like a human. And so when you're on that Zoom meeting, you don't really need to have a teacher talk to you. I wonder if that's going to happen.
Seems like they do it a little bit in the medical field right now, where they have a ton of doctors' meetings are done through via Zoom, because they've kind of changed the whole medical industry to where you have a primary care doctor. He's a PCP, primary care provider, and he's the person you're going to talk to or meet with on a Zoom meeting. And then that primary care provider is going to give you a referral to a specialist. So it's a huge process now to where that Zoom or the online meeting is actually a most used case first setup meeting for whatever your condition might be.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll be dealing with the specialist in through your referrals. So we don't have that doctor that, when I was young, I remember there was just a doctor, and he did everything. He's
just the doctor.
Yeah, he just handled everything. Maybe he wasn't the surgeon. After you had the surgery, that was different, but he was the guy that had all your charts and your files and kept a history of your life. So you go back, oh yeah, I see, you had a little crook in your back here, or whatever your situation was. So you can have that history and that personalization built up. But yeah, I'm just reminiscing now and thinking, wow, it just has changed a lot.
So much.
Mm-hmm. So much.
I would love to see people take a more savagely intentional approach to things when it comes to AI. And I'm going to give some real examples here. So as we were talking before about teachers, and I'm going to pivot a little bit here, and students, you talked about Notebook LM. So typical lectures that teachers want to have them. But don't make the students sit through them. That's for you to enjoy the sound of your voice. Then you take Notebook LM and let them distill it with their prompts on how they like to understand it. And listening is the assignment. And the discussion in class about what they listen to is the lesson. Yeah, it's a very different approach.
Good idea.
It's not going to take you're cheating, or I got to listen to you for 1,400 hours. It's there.
That's
what you said, Malachi, about is it not there for you to get the information? It is there. And you're capable of doing it if you do it. What are you asking? Tell me everything about quantum physics. How specific is that? Not at all. Be more specific.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Would you just quit it?
Well, we're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be back again in 4 minutes. Looking forward to bringing you the show in just a moment.
If you don't know me, my name is Ian Utile, and I've been an independent tech entrepreneur for over 20 years in the Silicon Valley. I kind of live a bit of a different life. I live in a treehouse with my two sons that are 9 and 12 years old. Because I'm disconnected from an urban environment, and because I have two little children, it gives me a very unique perspective. In addition to the fact I've never really had a job. I just basically built companies. My company, Attention Live, is my 7th company. And I've always been independent. Really didn't raise money for my companies. I've just asked clients to pay us for our services and our products and built companies that way. So because I have a different perspective, I see things like voice technology and the metaverse a bit differently than maybe some of you and others. And as we wrap up our entire day today and wrap up this session, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. And so I mentioned the Empire and the Rebel Alliance. Over Christmas, I watched all 11 Star Wars movies again with my boys. And I think we almost finished The Mandalorian again. Because I got nothing to do, obviously. So I'm like trying to work as I'm tuning in. And it got me thinking a lot about how an empire, like the voice technology empire, is created. How does it happen? How does Palpatine, the senator, become the supreme chancellor, become the emperor of the galaxy? How did that happen? And how much of it was nefarious? And how is it that people prop that up and allow that to happen? And then how do you dismantle that? Can it be dismantled from the inside? Or is it only the Rebel Alliance? Is it only the open metaverse and decentralized technology and the Web3 and the crypto world and NFTs? Is this our only hope? Is that real? Is that true? Or is it possible that we can bring balance to the galaxy of technology, and that the centralized trillion-dollar market cap companies don't have to be seen as the evil empire, but rather those that have the greatest hardware and really need help with community? And is it possible for them not to look at the Web3 decentralized open metaverse as the Rebel Alliance and Rebel scum, but rather those that desperately need their hardware and have figured out community? Let it sink in for a second. Let it sink in for a second. Because I promise you, in our American society, where everything gets demonized and glorified, I am a Democrat, and I hate Republicans and Fox News. I am a Republican, and I hate CNN. That going on gets played out in every possible way. And we're in a society where it's constantly fed to us that there's an enemy, and that we are the right ones, and they're the wrong ones, and that we need to stop them. And I would just say, I'm imagining that most Republicans and Democrats, people of all faiths, people of all ethnicities, all genders, all ages, have so much more in common than they have against one another. And there's a lot in common with the driving force of the executives at the trillion-dollar market cap companies that have developed voice technology that share a similar heart for the good of humanity with those that are building the Web3 ecosystem in the metaverse. And I would implore all of you, I would plead with all of you, be a part of making peace. In the tech world, my message to you today is to be a peacemaker. That's my message. Be a peacemaker. That's my final word. That's the final thing I want to say to you. It doesn't matter if you're an executive or an assistant in the evil empire of the voicetech trillion-dollar market cap companies, or you're one of the big cryptocurrency holders that's driving forward all of the Web3 glory. Find a way to work together, because that is how we will achieve all of our common goal. And that, my friends, is a worthy effort.
Welcome back to Beachside Tech Talk, here for our fourth and final segment. Today's topic.
So welcome.
I feel welcomed by you, son. Today's topic is the impact of, advanced technology. We often talk mostly about Web3 and AI, and we like to keep the focus on news and media on Thursdays. So here we are. We just covered kind of some of the past impact that it's made, the present news of the day for Web3 and AI, and now finally casting a vision about what could be. We did tiptoe into that a bit a moment ago as we're talking about newscasting. Like, what do we want to see happen with this over time? I would say if we could wave our magic wand, we could make one big change in terms of the way that news and media is done. What is it that we would want to see changed by leveraging technology over the course of the next couple of years? And so I just wanted to give each of the four of you a chance to kind of speak to that, and then we'll pick up the conversation as a dialogue. But, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, I'd love for the four of you to jump in and say, if you could wave your magic wand and just make something happen with this technology and it impacted news and media, of all the things that technology could do to make a positive impact for humanity through the news channels, whether it's written, audio, visual, or all of the above, what would you like to see change? How would you like to see this tech be implemented, or how would you like to see it be executed in a way that has not yet been done? So somebody jump on the mic, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, you had earlier quoted Elon Musk, who said on X, "You are now the news." I don't know if that's the case. I think we've moved from news to opinions. And overwhelming thing that we see on X and everything else are people's opinions. I would love to see the swing back and get journalism there, and us understand the difference between people who just have opinions and those who actually know what they're talking about. I think AI could really help with that, but I don't think the infrastructure, the communication infrastructure there is biased towards that. I think it's biased towards opinions and extremism and non-objectivity. So that's what I want to see. I'm waving my magic wand. More transparent, more differentiation between people who actually know what they're talking about and those who just have an opinion, and amplifying those who really know what they're talking about.
I love that, Teddy.
Mm-hmm.
The transparency's got to be the one, and then trust through verification kind of thing. I think that we want everything to be transparent. We want it to be so true. Again, you want it now. You want everything. Of course we do, but we have to also have our own due diligence to, maybe. We want the trust, so it's trust through verification is what it is. You don't have to go crazy, but you definitely, if it's something you care about, or if it's something having to do with your money or your health or your family or finance or whatever it is, those are deep core areas, and it's up to you to take care of yourself in the end. Remember that. So we want that transparency, Definitely, Ted. I love that. That's definitely first. But we want to have the trust. We want to verify that whatever we're doing is not a waste of time. That everything that we're looking at, whoever built it or did it, or the tool that we're using, was done with intention, and the intention was to help humanity. I know it sounds that sounds a little foo-foo or whatever it may be, but that still has to be what it's about. It has to have the right intentions through a verified trust that we build.
If I could give my response, I think that it's easy to look at this question and be like, okay, I want this tech thing. I want AI to be able to do this. But I don't want AI to be able to do this. That's not really the thing that goes into my mind. What I want is instead for course correction on a humanity level when you look at the concept of AI. I want all the big players, all the whatever, I want them to come together and be like, okay, this is a problem. What you were saying earlier about Brian Romley, this is a problem. We don't want AI to be like the social media things that happened. We want it to be different. Okay, let's all come together, find out how we can fix this problem. I want that to happen. I want these bigger problems that are actually important to be addressed and looked at. The things that Brian Romley talked about, the things like transparency, the things like making sure that there's no bias, the things like making sure that AI takes the 3 Isaac Asimov laws very, very seriously, that it isn't going to hurt humans, and that it isn't going to let humans be hurt through inaction, and that it's going to be truth-telling. I don't know if that third one is what it was, but just the concepts are very, very important.
Definitely should be.
That's what I care about.
And then Isaac Asimov didn't have that in there, it should be number 4.
And then an auto shutdown. And everybody should look that up, because I think today I'm going to look at that again. It's like a black and white video of him kind of staring off to the left, and he's saying things of what now we're going through, what we do. And he's been saying it ever since the web was really built, that these things, he sees machines and learning and it actually working with humans. And when he was saying that, he was Robert Heinlein, he was just talking crazy fiction, but yeah, incredible. Absolutely.
Can I
incredible.
say the 3 laws?
Go ahead, and then we'll jump to Nigel.
A robot or AI may not injure a human being through inaction, allow a human being to come to harm either. A robot must obey the orders that are given to it by the human beings, unless they mean hurting someone. And it also must protect its own existence as long as such does not conflict with the first
rules
or second.
1 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isaac Asimov. Man, I binge read his books like crazy when I was younger.
Yeah.
There was 1 month I read like 3 or 4 of his books.
Have you seen the Foundation series on Apple Plus?
Yeah, I might want to jump to that in a second. Go ahead, Nigel. Talk about, if you wave your magic wand, how would you impact news and media in the future with AI? And then maybe I'll circle back to Foundation. I had something come to mind through that as well.
Yeah, Foundation's pretty cool.
I actually wrote this one down, so I got it right. So here goes. Instant net good blockchain transparent badging with granular metrics that bring necessary context and amplify the cumulatively authoritative impact to humanity.
You cheater.
So here's what that means. If every time someone posts a news, you have a number, what was the net human good or the net good to humanity? But not just a single number that can be skewed. The granular pieces. What was prioritized here? Was it speed? Was it accuracy? Do you have a history of positive or negative behavior? How is that played out over time? Because I feel that with that type of metric system, we will naturally, organically start to move away from news that's unhelpful and move towards the news and newscasters and people who bring that accuracy just more.
Nigel, if I could ask a quick follow-up question before we transition, Dad.
Sure.
Those, you said you kind of want like a 1 out of 10 of what that's going to be on how much of this benefit humanity. What would be the things that affect that 1 out of 10?
Well, I think it wouldn't be something binary. It's like, okay, so we're individuals, and I feel like we need to stick to that. It would be, how does this affect this population, that population, the other population? So those numbers could be different. It would be super granular, but it would be uniform. So you couldn't, it would avoid skewing and polarization because it would add the context. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does.
No, I see what you mean. The context is very, very important there.
I think it's great that the tools that you're using, also Malachi, is actually able to. Have you been building projects with it, like in the side toolbar and the dashboard?
I haven't done a lot of project stuff.
Try that a little bit, because it really archives your conversation really good. And it'll even actually, because you've got a good paid version, it'll actually pick up where you left off, remind you and reprompt you.
Do you have any kind of plus version of Gemini?
No Gemini, but I'm still testing out.
Because I've seen that Google has done really well at like integrating things.
I think Google's probably Gemini is one of the best right now, in my opinion, at this moment. And I think
Gemini's
also
so hot right now.
It's smoking, and not just that. They have the most data de facto from the Web 2 universe, hence 2000, 1996 type thing. And all of the things we've been using and talking with it just through our typing in all those search bars for all these years. And like Ian was saying, it has data on the real way before AI was coming in. And when it was Web 2 was like brand new, when we just left an advertising page screen that had no interaction with it. Right. They have the most and best data. And I'm sure that they didn't just pass by the wayside, that when they built the servers to move that data with Google with the Web 2, they have it all stored. It's all in a recycled bin container or something somewhere. And that's why I think they're able to unleash all of it at once, and that's why some of the stuff that's coming back from it's really good. Nigel, what'd you think about the last Gemini stuff we were doing lately? It's like, it's of the 6, you think it's like number 1 or 2 right now, huh?
I think in organization, Gemini is hard to beat.
See,
because
and in my experience, and this might be a hot take, ChatGPT, at least out the box, not even close to Gemini when it comes to organization. I'm talking about simple stuff, and I'll give a little more nuance. ChatGPT seems to lean super heavily into stuff that's programmatically inclined. So when you ask it simple things like consolidate a list, you start seeing stuff that looks like programming.
I think
great for programmers, but for the average person, that's like saying, go look it up, go to GitHub, when you have no idea what GitHub is. It's irritating.
Most people don't know.
Google, same prompt, Gemini, you put it in, bam, super contextual, everything laid out beautifully, just better.
Well, we're seeing it happening now. What about adoption and scalability? Don't we've been talking about the trust and verification, and even where you tapped into, Nigel, but our adoption, I think I'm kind of one of the guys always kind of plugging in on that one. Is it going to happen like quickly? Is it going to happen too fast, or is it going to happen just right? I think I said something about how Steve Jobs, I had seen something with him. He had mentioned with the integration of the iPhone that he had brought along something for the people, and they had it adopt as they saw fit. It adopted when they did it. There was no one thing, because he produced a product that made that adoption happen. It started back when he was doing what was the little colored Apple? Not the Macintosh. It was
It was the Macintosh computer that came out.
Yeah, and they had 8 colors. Right, it was the first thing
when he
that
came back.
that personalized the computer, and the school system and everything started really getting into that. And in other words, long story short, I'm trying to get to the adoption came with the people as they saw fit. There was no some person knew the key that was the tipping point of the mass adoption. So adoption, scalability, and then those things. And last but not least, I hope that, because we talk about this a lot too, is job security. People, as this stuff comes along, next 5 years, I'm really going to be interested in seeing where some of this automation is really kicked off in administration. 10 people doing filing systems and stuff like that. Do those people really need to be there? And assistants, people that have jobs that are, assistants, even personal. It's going to be kind of tough when automation sets in so much that hopefully the assistants find new things to do, right? The automation kicks in for all the easiest stuff they were doing, and then now they can invent and more things to it in whatever their field is.
My biggest desire personally is good news. So when you want to talk about technology's impact on news and media, if I could wave a magic wand, I would flip the good news, bad news. For instance, yesterday there was a shooting at a Catholic school
in the nation.
Yeah. And Minnesota, and I think 2 children were killed and 17 were injured. That story took over the news all day.
That's the shock trauma.
So
it's
CNN,
crazy.
So I talked to Turner's son, who is a big part of CNN's kind of their rhythms. And he shared with me what happened with the whole approach of CNN with TED and the leadership decision making. And it was shock news. There was some terrible thing that happened, a car chase or a child was abducted, something of that nature. And it started the 24/7 news cycle, which Ron Burgundy with Anchorman so wonderfully mocked, that whole approach. Now, if you look at what John Krasnick did from The Office, that's what most people know the guy from, he started a YouTube channel called Some Good News. He did it for 8 weeks, 8 episodes, and then he did a reunion with the Office folks. That was so wildly successful that within 8 weeks, he garnered millions of followers.
Wow.
And he decided he did not have the ability to keep going, so he was either going to quit or have somebody else take over. And he sold the brand to Viacom. And since then, I don't believe Viacom did anything with it. Recently, Fantastic Four was the first time I had seen something that was Jetsons oriented, something that felt like an optimistic view of technology, even though it was placed 50 years back. Ted brought up Foundation. So if you haven't seen the Apple series Foundation, it's based off one of Isaac Asimov's books, as is iRobot with Will Smith, as is many, many, many very popular sci-fi things. And in fact, it's been said that anything having to do with science fiction
Centennial Man
was basically came from Isaac Asimov, like Star Trek, Star Wars, and the like. They all kind of, used Asimov's.
This guy's crazy futuristic. It was
just
uncanny how he was able to see some. Yeah.
So in Foundation, one of the most evil things I've ever seen was in Foundation. There's this king or ruler of the universe. Their one city had like 1 trillion people in it.
Yeah.
So it shows like a very future thing. And basically they keep cloning the ruler. So there's an old version, the elder, the leader version, our age, and then the young version.
For all living generations, an older version for the older living.
Just for this one, just the ruler.
Okay.
Anyway, the young kid, something happened. The ruler got super upset, and he went and found the girl that did something, and he basically said to her, as soon as I snap my fingers, everyone you've ever known and everyone they've ever known will be murdered right now. And he snaps his fingers. And it was like this moment where I'm looking at this story and I'm thinking to myself, that's what we want to create. That's the future that we think automation is going to bring, when AI has full development, when distributed ledgers have full development, when we are a post-scarce world, when we are, when we've really honed in humanity, multi-planetary, multi-universe, we want to come back to the ruler kills somebody and their whole family and everyone they've ever known and wipes out their entire existence. Like, that's where we want to go. And to me, this is what happens with news and media. We have this propensity with news and media to gravitate toward the absolute worst stories, the worst view of the stories, rather than trying the hard process of creating things and stories that are inspirational. So if I could see one thing really transform in the near future, it would be that these advanced technologies that can help humans do their job better and maybe even do some of our jobs for us would be geared toward finding the silver lining, pulling the gold out of each story, purposefully telling us some good news rather than telling us the horrible news for the 28th time this hour. And so to me, that is the greatest opportunity for news and media, is to leverage advanced automation to change the narrative of what we're pumping out. We have about a minute left. Any response to that or anything else you guys want to share with our lovely audience before we wrap it up?
Please wave that magic wand, Ian.
Wave that magic wand, baby.
Too.
I mean, really, it's up to each person listening right now.
We've all got
make it
good
so that
news.
your network knows and that you look for the good, because there is good out there.
Yes, there is. We'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.
All right, Internet, we're out of here. We have somebody else that come in on Tuesdays, so we're going to wrap up, hit the road. I'll be streaming live from my house, I believe, tomorrow. That's the plan. And Danny and Nigel will be here at the radio station making magic happen. Nigel, I salute you. Ted, I salute you. Internet, see you soon.
What?
You guys are permanently saluted.
Internet? See ya. You know, let's see it.
Bye, everybody.